So hi there, I'm currently working in a property that's needing quite a lot of renovation doing, and today I'm going to talk about tanking. Now some people might say, what is tanking? Well, basically tanking is a system that we use in order to prevent moisture from getting into your building from the outside. Now when you're looking at tanking, you've got to have a look at and consider what the source of it is. Is it pressure or is it just damp? Now in this particular property, there is no hydrostatic pressure, which is where there's water building up on the outside of the wall trying to push in. What this is rising damp. So with rising damp, you don't need to worry about water pressure, but you do need to make sure that the damp doesn't enter the building. So I have chosen to use a system called ProGuard, which is this bobbly product. Now the beauty of this product is it can be used on the floors, it can be used on the walls, and it's relatively easy to install. So it's installed using these special plugs that then have this silicone washer. The silicone washer goes on there, you drill either a 7 or 8 mil hole in the wall and you hammer them in. And that compresses and creates the seal. Now the reason it's 7 or 8 mil depends on the material you're knocking into. And the challenge I've faced here is some of the bricks are soft and some are really hard. So if you're going into a softer material, you use the smaller drill bit, but if you're going into a really hard material, you use the bigger drill bit. Now on occasions I've found, because the wall at the back has got such a variety of bricks, sometimes these just don't grip. So there's a couple of solutions. You can either put some silicone on them to just help them grip, or adhesive, or another alternative is you drill a hole somewhere else and then you have to seal the hole that you've made. I did find with their instructions, they weren't very clear about the jointing. I bought it as a pack, which basically came with all the membrane and all the plugs, but what it didn't come with was anything where you've got the joints. Their YouTube video wasn't very helpful. It showed you how to drill and to do them at 250 centres, but it didn't tell you what to do where one piece meets another. So anyway, I looked on the website, I found that I needed a special jointing tape, which I've now ordered, but again, there's no instructions on how to use that tape. So I run customer services, which were very helpful. And what I found was all the joints have to be butt jointed and you put the tape on a butt joint. Now at the moment I've got some of the install where I've overlapped, which is not what they want you to do. So I'm going to have to trim them overlaps back and make them into butt joints, but it's not a big problem, and I can move forward. So I'll now show you the product. Now I will show you the product and explain what I've done, why I've done it, and how I'm going to move forward. So one of the questions you might ask is, what types of tanking are there? How do I tank? So one of the earliest forms of tanking is a cement-based product made by Sika. It's an additive that goes into the cement, but you can also buy it pre-mixed. Now the beauty of buying it pre-mixed, you know it's the exact right sand, the right material. The downside to it is that cement-based tanking is very laborious. It works, it's been proven to work. It's been used since the probably around about the First World War. So it has a long history of being proven to work. But on this property, they'd used the cement-based tanking and they'd not done the right preparation to the walls. So when I got this property, the tanking was loose, it more or less fell off. Because what I strongly suspect is they'd not cleaned the walls down properly before applying it, and in order to get the key, the walls really should be sandblasted to make sure you get all the loose cement and dust off the walls. On this property, I've jet washed all the walls prior to starting the tanking, but because I'm using a mechanically fixed product, it isn't as necessary to clean the walls. But however, when I'm fixing to the walls above the tanking, it does need to be clean, because what I also found is when I stripped some of the walls that had been previously dot and dabbed, not only they're not used enough dots, but the adhesive didn't bond to the stone because there was a layer of dust on it. So anyway, I'm now going to continue and with the preparation of the tanking, and I'll show you what it looks like once I've completed. So here we have the product fixed to the wall at 250mm centres. As you can see there, that's butt jointed. Now in hindsight, I should have brought that plug further across here so that I can get the tape on easier. But it's at the top of the tanking, so I'm not as worried. But what I will do is I'll tape and completely cover that plug. At the bottom there, where I've got the overlap, I will trim that so that it becomes a butt joint, and then that's done as the manufacturer's recommendations. The height of the tanking is 1200mm above the external floor level. Damp can only rise a metre, so you have that extra 200mm just to be sure. Now, for reasons I don't understand, the drilling pattern for the plugs is at 250mm centres. Now, 250mm centres, that doesn't work for fixing timbers or anything else where you're going to be screwing lats to, because they need to be more like 300mm centres to work to the size of sheets. So you're going to end up, if you're using battens, you're going to be using more plugs in order to get your centres. Now, I'm not a fan of using timber battens underneath, because if you've got anything at all slightly wrong with that tanking, I just think that having timber battens that you can't see does carry a slight risk of being a place where dry rot can start. But again, because this system, you can go over it with whatever you want, I'm going to be using dot and dab. And so with that, worst case scenario, if the dot and dab gets damp, yeah, it may come away, but it's not going to give me a dry rot problem. So like here, as you can see, is a problem where I need to seal. I've got two holes there that I've drilled where the plugs just did not take. So using the specialist fleece tape, I'm going to seal those holes, and I've got to check around because there are a number of places where that has happened.